Alright, we are back with another episode of Gilded Shadows. Let's pick up where we left off here with Trent being, a little, as he put it, overenthusiastic. Ari placed a hand on my shoulder, squeezing slightly, a gesture I took as an unspoken thank you. So, in case you guys, didn't just watch the last episode, Trent was being really overbearing and sort of really intrusive as far as the way he interacted with Ari, and Morgan sort of stepped in front of Ari to run some interference. Morgan is correct. We may be able to talk another time. It looks like your companions are here anyway. Right. Introductions. We didn't get a chance for it yesterday. This is Gina Taylor, and this is Matt Ayres. Matt's kind of a cutie. I mean, Gina's really pretty too, though. It's so great to meet you. Honestly, Trent would not shut up about you the entire trip here. That's... I wasn't sure what to say about it, to be honest. He neglected to mention your position. Imagine our surprise to discover you are not only an Esper, but a member of Endgame. There was something odd in his... Oh, sorry, this is Matt. I said it as Gina. He neglected to mention your position. Imagine our surprise to discover you are not only an Esper, but a member of Endgame. There was something odd in his tone of voice, judgmental almost. I instantly disliked him. Does he not like Endgame as an organization? And a fairy at that. A flitter of anxiety went through me when he mentioned that. Had Trent told them that? Well, I'm guessing so. What makes you... Come to think of it, I guess that's why Mr. Vaughn is helping you train you, right? I still can't get over the fact that you're a queen rank. I had no idea. The first known queen ranked fairy. That's pretty incredible. What little noise had been going on around us died instantly when Trent, who clearly had no concept of voice modulation, said that very loudly. I cast a glance back over my shoulder, and, sure enough, the entire table of junior agents was gaping at us. Trent, you were like, we can't take you anywhere, I swear. There were a few whispers, and it was obvious that was it for that little secret. Oh, now they know she's a fairy esper. Did he just say fairy? Her? She's F class? Trent, seriously? Oh, was I not supposed to say that? Though not a secret, Morgan's status was not well known, certainly not as widely known as mine. He glanced at the others who were still looking our way. It appears that is about to change. Sorry, Morgan. Looks like I'm 2 for 2 when it comes to screwing up, aren't I? I'm gonna go with 10 for 10. Oh, it's so pretty out here. Hang on, I'm gonna take a drink really quick. Because my throat's getting sore. There had been a lot of explanations after Trent's loud declaration of me being F-class. Ari had briefly left to inform Magnus there was about to be a ripple effect as the information about me spread through the organization. Gina, like Trent, seemed fascinated by my status and story. I felt obligated to give them an explanation of how I'd been discovered. It was an abridged version that did not mention a kidnapping or arrest off the street. Though no one had told me I couldn't share that little tidbit, it felt wrong to share something that would be misunderstood. Or taken out of context. I mean, I don't think it would be taken out of context, but I do understand her loyalties here, because, her relationship with everyone at Endgame has changed since they kidnapped her off the street. I still wasn't sure where I stood with Trent, or stood on Trent, much less Gina. As for Matt, I didn't trust him as far as I could spit. He seemed intent on peppering me with questions, some of which were quite personal. This time, it was Trent that had to step in and tell him to knock it off. It cemented my dislike for him, but I had to keep that contained. At any rate, all of that ensured their research session was properly derailed, especially after Ari returned. After a couple hours, we left them there with the archive staff to monitor them. But before that, I'd agreed to have dinner with Trent, ostensibly to catch up. And that was how we ended up in the garden for an after dinner walk. Ari was nearby, but staying well out of sight. I had no idea Endgame kept it quiet that some of their agents are fairies. If I'd known that, I wouldn't have said anything to Matt and Gina. I definitely wouldn't have blurted it out like that. But why did you tell them in the first place, Trent? It's not like it's some big secret. I guess they were worried it would have caused even more of a fuss than bringing me here already did. You saw the looks on everyone's faces. Those junior agents were shocked. Yeah, they seemed a little stunned. I guess, I just guess I assumed everyone knew. Some of them already some of them are already a little irate that I'm here. This won't help. Why would they be irate? I mean, I'm an outsider to them. Most of them came here as children. Some, well, at least one was aiming for a promotion up to queen rank. And I conveniently showed up out of nowhere. You should be aware of how people view F class. I didn't expect that kind of mentality to exist here. I mean, Mr. Vaughn, Ari's well respected, isn't he? He's been here a long time. I haven't. Looks like I really screwed up. I'm sorry, Morgan. Well, you didn't know. Still, I don't like how they're forcing you to keep hiding who and what you are. You had to do that for years. If they're going to force you to be here, they can at least let you be open about it. It's not like I was ordered to hide it. It was just suggested I not bring it up. Right. I'm sure I can guess how suggestions work here. I don't like it. Truthfully, I don't like that you even have to be here. Can you imagine how shocked I was when your mother told me? At least now I know why you didn't contact me after getting the card I sent. Are you kidding? That is not why we didn't contact you. Get out of here with that. Like, he is lucky I cannot reach through the screen and slap him. I. Her reaction is so much more mild than mine. Let that slide for now. But it wasn't the reason at all. I was shocked at first too, and I hated it and was homesick. But I'm here now, and there's no point in sulking about it anymore. You say that, but why don't we talk about something else? Like your research, maybe. What's been going on for the last year? Oh, sorry, that's Morgan. What's been going on for the last year? What have you been working on? Well, I mean, you said you got a report about it after you volunteered to oversee our research here, so you know the gist of it. But all I got was an overview. I don't understand the relevance of fairy espers to what you're aiming for. No one has worked out how to replicate rank level, psi waves, so what makes you think you'll be able to create tech that mimics some F-class rooks? It has to do with how fairy psi waves work. Well, how we theorize they work. We're here to review Endgame's research to see if they can validate some of our theories. And what are your theories? Well, he took a deep breath and that gleam came to his eyes. The one he got when he started talking about his research. We think N-class espers have a unique sort of psi that resonates with an individual's nano system. Oh. Resonance. A unique attribute of nano espers. As psi originally stemmed from alterations to human anatomy by the nanites for the purpose of utilizing the nano system, nanites still play a role in the development and use of psi for nano espers. Resonance is poorly understood, but seems to involve some sort of synchronization between an esper's psi waves and the trace energy emitted by nanites, causing an increase in their psi capability. The higher an esper's internal nanoresonance, the higher their natural abilities will be. All N-class espers inherently use nanite resonance to utilize their psi, but it is not a shared trait with F-class espers. Rendering a person's nanosystem inoperable can disrupt nanoresonance and cause brief interruptions in an esper's use of their psi. Simply disconnecting an esper's connection to the net does not have the same effect. It requires specific completely and fully disabling their individual nanosystem, rather than dampening their connection to the rest of the nanosystem or partial nanosuppression. Okay, so this doesn't apply to her then. For ranked espers, this resonance is stronger than the others, or than other espers. Their nanites help amplify their natural psi in a wave that gives them an additional boost. Okay, boost. So that's why their scores are so high. You've mentioned this concept of resonance before, if I recall. Probably, but there's not a large body of information about it outside of Endgame, since most known ranked espers are here. The type of promotion you mentioned earlier, it's not really something known outside of Endgame and some research facilities, but it's only relevant to a very small subset of infantry level espers. For anyone outside that small group, the enhancements are dangerous, and if it works, their powers are unstable or they rapidly go into permanent burnout. We think it's something to do with this resonance. The higher a nanoesper's internal resonance, the stronger and more stable their abilities are. These infantry are the only ones who can slip into a higher level of resonance and increase their abilities. Those are interesting theories. The most advanced research on how to boost a person's psionic output is all in Endgame's hands because a lot of that research is illegal. Oh, really? That makes sense. I still don't see what this has to do with your research, though. Right. Well, that's the thing. Mechanically, replicating psi waves is pretty difficult. We have tech that can create small psionic fields, but artificial psi can only hit about EA 5.6. Okay, I think, yeah, we've already read this. We theorize that's because we can't replicate nanite resonance with tech. Okay, that's a fair hypothesis, but what does that have to do with fairies? This is where things get interesting. You see, we don't think F-class psi resonates within the nanite nanosystem in the same way N-class psi does. Fairy psi is just inherently different in structure. We suspect, and some of our research confirms, that fairy waves have internal resonance, which is why they consistently are stronger than their nano counterparts. That makes their psi waves much more complex at a glance, but nanite resonance doesn't play a role at all. So, if this supposed nanite resonance is a hurdle to replicate more powerful artificial psi, you think you might be able to replicate fairy psi waves more easily? Oh, is that where he's going with this? Exactly. We've had some luck in a lab setting, but there's so little information on F-class espers, and our test subject pool is small. I don't like the way they're throwing around that word test subject, because they're talking about people when it comes down to it. Most people willing to come forward to be a part of any research are low level, and we've noticed F-class psi waves get more complex the higher a person's score. Okay, but imagine if we could replicate specific types of psi waves. Right now, espers make up such a small percentage of the population. Here on the day side, the higher ranks are mostly in endgame because they're always identified at such a young age. If we could recreate powerful and stable artificial psi, so many people could be helped. Being able to replicate biokinesis, for instance, would have huge implications. It sounds more like a Pandora's box, if you ask me. Is this one of your weird history references? Because I don't get it. Really? Oh, for the love of... Yes, it's an ancient myth about an amazing box that was given to someone by the gods. She was told never to look into it, even though the box itself was beautiful. But, of course, she looked into it. And it held sickness, death, and innumerable other terrible things, all of which were loosed into the world because she couldn't resist temptation. You're saying we'll unleash some kind of horrible thing on the world with this research? There are strict laws in place about these kinds of things for a reason, Trent. There are already weapons that mimic low-level psi waves, and your own theories say the only reason it's low-level is because of this nanite resonance. If you figure out how to overcome that, you think people won't apply it to things like weapons designed to harm? There are some barriers that once you break them down, there's no going back. The world's forever changed. Morgan has a really, really, really good point here because we've seen this happen in real life throughout history time and time again. This could be one of them. I'm not sure it matters anyway. The ethical constraints on this type of research are pretty strict. We're limited when it comes to practical application, and there are some things we can't test under the Triad's laws and treaties. Under the Triad, huh? Will that remain true if Sierra can break away? That's a tough question. Here we go. This is what we need to talk about. How's it up there? Really? Oh, that's right. You have a brother in the colonies, don't you? I do. Though he's the agricultural manager in a fringe settlement, Resni. Okay, Resni, a small agricultural settlement on Sira. It is far from the major cities, and its economy is less focused on mining and more on food production for other settlements. Due to its isolated location, it's usually far from any fighting when violence inevitably bubbles up again, but it can still be impacted by supply shortage or transport blockades. I won't lie, it was bad when we left. I'm sure it's worse now. Even before the fighting broke out, things were tense. You try to just live your life, but you can't get away from it. Everything up there is driven by the mines, and everyone knows someone in that business. The working conditions there are appalling. Hell, half the people on our team are doing this research because they want to help some family member or friend battling lung rot or Treacher's syndrome. Lung rot is a disease common among workers of the Sira mines. It is a disease that directly attacks the lungs and causes the lining to begin to necrotize. Lung rot is difficult to treat unless caught extremely early, but continued exposure to the toxins that cause it can cause repeated relapse. It remains one of the leading causes of death among mine workers in Sira. I think we have something like this for people who work in mines in real life. I don't remember what it's called. Okay, or Treacher's syndrome, another disease caused by the toxic fallout of the Sira mines. This one does not just affect mine workers, as in some cases, the toxins leak into water systems, for example, meaning people can be exposed in their day-to-day lives. There are some areas of the moon that are heavily contaminated, and there are no available resources to clean up or contain the toxins. Treacher's syndrome is a systemic disease that can affect many parts of the body and can lead to lifelong health issues and even death. So I'm betting that these are like parallels to conditions that people get from working in mines in real life, because just from the brief interactions that I've had with the developer, it seems like she has done like a lot of research into these real life sort of parallels and conditions to reflect them in the game. So I'm guessing that these do have some sort of basis to real life conditions. And then with the situation of the new quotas, not to mention delayed supplies deliveries, lack of funding for basic infrastructure repairs and improvements. The taxes are pretty bad too. To be honest, I'm surprised it didn't happen sooner. This has been building for longer than I've been up there. Sounds like you have a lot of sympathy for the dissidents. Morgan, nearly everyone up there sympathizes with the dissidents. If not because of the mines and other issues, then because New Albion is trying to crack down on the Esper relocation situation, and there are a lot of Espers who don't want that. Almost no one up there agrees with the new restrictions, much less with any of the attempts to deport them back to Arcalis. So the Esper thing is a big issue there? I didn't realize it. I didn't realize that. Why do you think more Espers aren't willing to join up for testing or research trials? I mean, we pay them for it pretty well too, and it's still not enough incentive for most of them to come out in the open. If they can make it to adulthood without being detected here, then they go up there so they can live the lives they want. But they continue to fear being found out because New Albion doesn't want them there either. Well, I definitely know what it feels like to have to hide. At least it's easier to hide it there than here. There, plenty of people are willing to ignore the politics or laws. I wish I'd come back sooner. I could have gotten you out of here. I still could. Uh, I appreciate it, Trent, but she's kind of, she's moved on. How's that going to work, do you think? Well, I was looking forward to seeing you again so much, and now none of it has gone the way I thought it would. He took my hands, holding them tightly. I was really hoping to get the chance to say sorry. Sorry for letting things go for so long without a word from me. Everything was so hectic after my arrival. I didn't have time to stop and take a break for weeks. Okay, but it was a year. The power grid was in and out for a month, and we were on emergency reserves. After that, the water reclamation plant went down. We were all helping with repairs because we couldn't get a proper repair team in. You wouldn't believe some of the issues the colonies face on a daily basis. It takes forever to get anything done. Before I knew it, months had gone by. And then I was too afraid to reach out, too afraid you'd be angry. I was. Angry, hurt, worried. I'm sorry. Can we try again, Morgan? I miss you. Every time something great happened or we made some breakthrough, I miss being able to tell you about it. Then why did you never reach out? Well, he told us why he never reached out because he got caught up in everything that was going on up there. And then by the time that I guess he found the time to do so, he was afraid that we'd be angry because so much time passed. I couldn't ask that. I didn't want to ask that. I didn't want to rehash these feelings or reopen these wounds. I closed the door on all that months ago. What do you expect me to say to that, Trent? I forced myself to move on because I didn't think I'd ever hear from you again. Did you believe I'd wait forever? No, no. I didn't think that. I didn't want that. I just hoped maybe we could. The answer is no. No. Haha. I knew you would say that. Then why did you even ask? Because I had to. He shoved his hands into his pockets and gave me a lopsided grin. I hope you realize I won't give up that easily. I wasn't even sure how to respond to that. That's what I'm wondering. Like, what do you mean? Where else is there to go with this conversation? Like, she said no. She heard you out. She heard your reasoning, and she laid things out pretty clearly. And things were awkward afterward. It didn't take long for Trent to make an excuse and leave, smiling like he always had, promising me we'd talk more tomorrow, saying he was looking forward to really digging into the archives. And I didn't know what to do with myself afterwards. I needed to file my report. There were some things Trent said I figured were important, but I couldn't make myself go back to my flat to do it. I just stood in place trying to sort myself out. I was so lost in thought, I didn't even sense Ari until he said my name. I jumped at the sound of his voice, having forgotten he was even nearby. He heard all that. All of it. Yeah, the awkwardness just never ends with him. I couldn't even face him. He just stood behind me without moving. Are you all right? You seem distressed. I'm okay. It's all right to not be okay. I clenched my jaw, trying to steady my emotions. I'm okay. I said it again firmly. Ari stepped around me, and I lowered my head because I didn't know what sort of expression I was making, and I didn't want him to see. To my surprise, he placed his finger under my chin, forcing me to meet his eyes. Are you really okay? I'm not sure. Without thinking, I stepped closer and rested my forehead against his chest. He stiffened as if he was uncertain how to respond to that gesture. Look at his expression. Oh! After a moment, I felt his hands on my back, hesitant and gentle. You do not have to include Trent's request on your report. I looked up at him, surprised he said that. That is like a huge deal for Ari, because he's so by the book with everything. And look at this. Hang on. Let's take a look at this. This is so cute. Okay. I don't believe it's relevant. It can stay between us. I laid my head on his chest, again, smiling slightly. Thank you. We stood like that for a while, until I was feeling a little more in control of my emotions. Then Ari walked me back to my room, where Yvonne was waiting to hear what had happened and to find out if she needed to beat anyone up. Hold on. Okay, chapter 9, Tremulous. Okay, I think we'll go ahead and end it here. But yeah, we got another CG. We are getting like a ton of CGs right now. We've gotten like a couple of them back to back. So for him, it looks like there's 9 total, and we've gotten 4 so far. And we are in chapter 9, so there's 5 more chapters left. But yeah, that was a cute one. This one is still my favorite so far, but I mean, we'll see. That may change in time. Anyway, I hope that you guys enjoyed the episode, and I will see you next time.
What have you been doing all this time, huh? Last time I saw you, you had your head buried in her underwear drawer, creep.
Oh my god. Okay, that escalated quickly.